We are here. Dr. Mitchell is stuck around, and joining us is, I hate the comparison to other people. You know, I'm sure that there's an African, because we make chocolate, there's an African version of somebody really famous doing chocolate back in 2000 years ago. I'm sure of it. So we need, not Willy Wonka. Right. How about the first? Phillip Ashley. Let me welcome him to the show. He is a chocolatier. We're going to find out what that is. Phillip Ashley Chocolates is where you can find them. Welcome to the Karen Hunter Show. Hello.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. And it's Phillip Ashley Rix, R-I-X.
Yes.
That is a very interesting name.
Yes, very interesting. So
tell me the origins of it.
So my great-great-grandfather basically said, well, we're not going to keep this other man's name, and I'm changing it. So it was Rich at first, and he took off the C-H-E and put an X. So I guess that was his militant self. Yes. So,
come on, Wakanda. Throw that up. I love it.
So yeah. So
all right. So where are your peoples from? Where are they from?
Memphis, Tennessee, but specifically my dad's side, paternal Woodstock, which is an area near Millington. So kind of a country area, a lot of land, that sort of deal. So yeah, so Memphis, Tennessee is where we're out of, though.
Okay, so you got partnerships with a whole lot of people doing a whole lot of things. But let's go all the way back to the first chocolate thing that you made, and then the first time you thought it could be a business.
So the first chocolate thing that I made was, I was in Baltimore still. I was actually living in Baltimore, tinkering around, just kind of learning my way around it. I think I made like a Jamaican rum banana chocolate. That was something I made. That was one of the first ones. The minute I decided that I was going to become a chocolatier, it was, I went, let's see how difficult we can make this. That was like the instant notion. Let me put, and I really did. I said, well, why aren't people putting barbecue in chocolate? Why aren't people putting blue cheese in chocolate? And then it just kind of grew from there. And I said, look, I want to tell stories with my chocolate. And so people, places, things, movies, radio shows, all that kind of stuff, we kind of interpret into the flavor. So.
Wow. So all about challenge, huh?
All about challenge. Yes. And so, because one of the things that I'll ask when we work with brands, I'll sit down and literally my first question is, tell me what your brand tastes like. And so that's just kind of gets them thinking about the DNA, their culture, the purpose of their business, why they got into it, even down like, what do you eat for dinner? What do you like to drink? Do you drink coffee? All that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a pretty, intuitive, but also, very just deep process in a sense.
Phillip Ashley Rix, the first time you tasted chocolate and thought that this would change your life?
Well, it changed my life when I was like 5 years old. The first time I can remember my mom making chocolate chip cookies for me. So that was, I think I've been hooked on chocolate chip cookies since that day. But then also the chocolate, I actually had truffles for the first time. I was like 9, my brother was like 4. My mom used them for bribery. She's taking 2 little boys in the mall. All right, if y'all don't run all over the place and make me chase you, I got something for you at the end. And so we were eating, truffles, not knowing what they were then, obviously, but, she just found some fancy candy because that was the quickest thing that she could access that was sweet and, keep us from running through the racks and stuff. So that is, so the breadcrumbs lead all the way back to that. And, I think I was 28, woke up 3 o'clock in the morning from a dream. I was like, you know what, I'm going to be a chocolatier. How cool would that be? And that I just became obsessed. We have thoughts all the time, but that became the obsession.
Stick there for a second, Phillip, because we were talking about, I was talking about Peaky Blinders. I don't think Dr. Mitchell watches Peaky Blinders.
I love that show.
Come on. So I'm talking about the gypsies and how they deal in the spirit realm and they visit, the dead visit, and
Yeah.
they not cast spells, but they got curses. And for Black people, I think that's we're open to that. You just said you had a dream and you woke up from it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember it vividly, or was it just a voice? Was it something that just said, this is what you're going to do? Did you see chocolate rainbows and bacon and blue cheese? Like what was in the dream?
Yeah, so I do have, and even today I have very accurate recall of my dreams. And so that one, I was just, me and my brother it was actually in the mall, but the lanes were like pools of chocolate. So we were swimming in chocolate, trying to make it out because we were running from my mom. She was trying to make us try on school clothes. And so it was just one of those things. And so it was a lot of random things like that. But then even like today, or this weekend, woke up from a dream and I was like, oh, and I just started writing down chocolate recipes based on what I was dreaming. And so that's just, try to, I wake up, interpret, extract the meaning of it and, go from there. But it was one of those things that wouldn't leave me alone.
Okay, so to take us back to where Karen started us off, because you told us about the Jamaican rum banana chocolate that you started in Baltimore. So the part that I don't have yet is precisely how you decided it would become a business.
Sure. So in the beginning, the first thing I did, I said, well, do I want to go to culinary school and that sort of thing? And I explored it, and there really wasn't a chocolate program at the time. And so and again, still determined, I was like, well, I'm going to figure this thing out on my own. I've been cooking since I was 5, went to school for chemistry. So I was like, I can figure this out. So, and, just had a passion for food. And so and all I did for 2 straight years was read and learn about food, herbs, spices, how people taste. Here, Karen, what do you think? How does that make you feel? What does it make you think? Literally, I would just do that with people. But it didn't touch chocolate at the time. I'm literally talking about just like food, drink, ingredients, that kind of thing. And so I said, I want to be this encyclopedia of flavor. So did that. And then I started experimenting. I started making chocolates, and I would go to some event where they invited me to supply for the VIP or whatever. And so say, for instance, I would hand you a chocolate and you're in front of me and I'm observing what you're saying and what you're thinking, but I'm really watching you go over to Karen in the distance, watching your body language. Are you being real demonstrative and said, oh my God, you got to point back at me, go try it out? Or are you handcuffing it and trying to slide it into the trash can on the way out? So basically that was my open feedback, or my focus group. Active focus group. And then I said, well, the 3 main things was, do people like it? Do they like it enough to buy it? And then do they like it enough to keep buying it? And so through pop-ups and tastings over the span of about 5 years, and just as I evolved, ended up saying, okay, I got a promotion at the time, and it was like, well, I'm going to be covering the Southeast of the US. I'm either going to do this, chocolate goes away, or I can do chocolate and I can always go back and get a job. And so I chose chocolate, and here we are. So that was 10 years ago.
Oh my goodness. The chocolate, first of all, is beautiful.
Thank you.
Absolutely beautiful. I don't drink, but I'm sure people will tell us that the Uncle Nearest partnership is probably delicious for the people that like Uncle Nearest, with the different blends that you have there.
Sure.
I am fascinated by how you managed to do collard greens and cornbread in a chocolate. Yeah. I need to understand that. I need to understand for real. Like collard greens and cornbread, though, for real though.
2 things. My grandmother, my mom, my aunts, they ate that all the time, even growing up, because I guess supposedly it was good for your skin or something like that. But I mean, it was just something we had all the time. Even growing up, my mom fed me and my brother buttermilk and cornbread. So it was just like recalling all the things we ate and cooked, because, my grandparents, they grew a lot of their own food. We had huge pecan trees around. And so just growing up around that, and said, well, you know what are the things that we ate? Candy yams and with marshmallow on top, or, we had red Kool-Aid all the time. So we made it a red. So really with my chocolate, I'm just interpreting my experiences or experiences that other people share with me. It's like, well, how can we turn that into a flavor? But yeah, collard greens and cornbread, just figuring out how to make, and we use actual collard greens. So we cook the collard greens, then blend it into the dark chocolate. So I don't even know if a collard green flavoring exists. So we blend it into the chocolate.
Wow.
Ganache, and then it has a layer of white chocolate ganache with actual cornbread. My dad swears he's the cornbread cooking champion. So I was like, all right, I need you to make me some cornbread, once a week. And so we blend that into white chocolate. And so those two things are there. Yeah. But if it says it's in there, that actual food item exists, we just transform it into something that we can put in chocolate.
I'm gonna list some of the names. You got a barbecue. I don't know, is barbecue what? Bluff City barbecue what? What you just barbecue like
barbecue. I live in Memphis. Barbecue championship play. We make better barbecue than anyone. I know that's going to start a whole.
I was going to say South Carolina. A lot of people. Texas going. Yes, I was going to say a lot of people going.
They all come here to compete. So just remember that. But barbecue, blue cheese. Yeah, we do it. We do it all.
All right. You have one called I Am a Man, which feels very powerful. What was the thought behind doing that one, and what's
so actually we play, it's a riff off I Am a Man, which you have the Civil Rights Museum and all that here. It was actually I Am a Woman that we did for International Women's Month in March a couple of years ago. So we basically, I was like, who are 24 women out there that I admire that we could just do an inspired flavor for? So, always been a fan of Diane Carroll, Cicely Tyson, folks like that. And so even Rihanna, so what I did is, well, where's Rihanna from? Barbados. Okay, let's, she likes this, and she'll eat salted tangerines because she would soak them in the sea. So I do a lot of research on those people, and then I would create a flavor based on that.
Okay, so I have a very biased question, but it is based on something that you just said, or that you said earlier, because part of what you said is that you love the challenge. And obviously this collard greens and barbecue definitely shows that challenge emphasis that you have. But you also said that it's about telling stories. So will you talk with me more? I'm an English professor, so I definitely love stories and understand the power of stories. Can you talk with me more about how you think about the story component of your business?
Yeah. Well, I daydream a lot. But that's one. But when I'm making my flavors and coming up with the formulas, it's kind of like a chess player before a match. I'm thinking of the moves 3 and 4 and 6 moves out, or in this case, the ingredients, moving them around this many grams this way, that many grams that way. And so just really kind of working through the formula and the concept. So what's the subject matter? Is it a person? Is it a place? Or is it a thing? Or, are we doing an international collection or whatever? Is it Uncle Near's? What are the elements of that? So I will literally spend, whether it's weeks, or if I really get into that tunnel, I'll just spend 6 hours researching, the subject matter. And then I'm like, okay, well, how can I make this, take the materials that I found and materialize it into reality, into a real flavor. So that theory of, Nearest Green, he was using sugar maple tree sap. Well, all right, where can I find that? Or how can we recreate that? And so that's where I go and find the hard to find ingredients, be it cheese made in Sweden from moose that is only made once a year, that kind of thing. So just get into that. So that's how. So it's just really thinking of all those things, but most of that is done through research and then just a lot of pondering, and going back to studying the flavors. I tasted a lot to strengthen my palate. So like if I say, well, saffron and burnt orange peel, my brain is telling my palate right now what that tastes like. So I'm tasting things, which is why I rarely ever taste the finished product. Like I'll taste it in the process, but once we've made it, like it's kind of like, as they say about your own supply, I don't do that. But
so is part of what I'm understanding that there's a story in terms of how you build the flavors, but am I also to understand that part of what you want is for once your customer tastes it, that they will then have a story to tell too? And how does that happen?
Yeah, it's much like if you go to see a movie, the director, the filmmaker is telling you a certain story, and then your interpreter, or a painter even, Basquiat is showing you something and narrating something, and then you go off and you take your interpretation and you go tell the next person, and that creates that kind of word of mouth situation. And so, yeah, I'm crafting the story based on my viewpoint of whatever the subject or inspiration is, and then putting those flavors together and then saying, here, this is for you.
Beautiful.
This is amazing. It is beautiful, Dr. Koritha. I'm on the website. I don't really get down like this, but I see gifts for the holidays because it just is so amazing. And I need to taste a lot of these. Phillip, I want to call you doctor because whatever you're doing in the lab is just amazing.